So let me ask another question, and then I'm gonna let Samantha ask a couple because she doesn't know you as well as I do. What lessons do you know now that you wish you could tell yourself when you first started? Like, what's one of the biggest lessons?
Can I jump in on this one, Corey, real quick?
No.
I can't. Okay. All right. So the thing that I learned, and it's a hard lesson, and I don't know that I haven't solidified this yet. But to be in business and to have employees and to have, um, you know, we had about 25 employees. And so to run a company that size or bigger, there has to be some separation. Like I knew all of my therapists. I knew all of the kids that they serviced. I knew all the service. I knew all of the principals, all of the heads of everything else. I knew all those people. Okay. And so you want to make your business family, right? It's a part of you. It's your baby. Especially when you get started, you're nurturing it. You're wanting it to develop and become bigger and whatever. But there has to be separation between your company and yourself. And if that's not there, then there's a high probability that there's going to be burnout if you don't have that level of separation and boundaries. Yeah. But also, that's a good word for it. Boundaries between you and your employees as well. Because when you start off small and you stay small, and then you gradually get bigger, and then you get bigger quickly, that want to have a cohesive, close knit relationship, you can't do that. It sounds strange, but it's just not professional, and it will limit what you do in business. So we were considered a small are considered a small company, and I used to look at and talk to some of the larger companies, and I'll keep the language PC because I don't know who's watching this, but they were they were not cool at all. Like they were like donkeys to the employees. And I'm like, why are you like this? Like, I don't understand how you're running this. And the bigger we got, I understood there's a distinct, this is the boundary. You cannot cross that. This is where I am. And that would be something I would tell myself, that put those boundaries up early. Like everybody knows where I live. Everybody knew my cell phone number. Everybody has my email address. So I was extremely accessible. When you have that level of access, I think that limits your ability to grow because you don't delegate. Everything is your responsibility. Everything, even though you have a manager, even though you have multiple managers, everything falls back to you. Not that being the personality that I have, which is, hey, if you need me, I'm there. If you need me, I'm there. We had very little turnover with our therapists. Nobody left. Everybody stayed. Everybody like, this is a great company to work for. But then there was the other part of it, which I'm assuming we'll get to later, but it was a lot. So learning to have boundaries with your employees and giving yourself some separation between your business and your home life, I think that's extremely important.
Okay.
For me, I would tell my younger self to just trust the process, to not be so fearful that it won't work. And I'm learning now that it doesn't have to be pretty. It just get started. It doesn't have to be pretty, just get started. The reason why you want to get started is because you can build inertia. You can start building the momentum and learning from the scrapes and bruises that you will never do sitting on the sideline thinking it through. To to think that you can think your way into an action as opposed to just acting and thinking through the action, that's two different things. If I'm thinking through it, I'm not doing anything. I'm still stagnant. But if I'm doing it and thinking through it, I'm learning all this stuff that thinking will never get me. That is not to say to be haphazard in the choices that you make, or to be ill-informed and taking risks that do not bear fruit. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you've gotten to a point where your product is something that has the quality that's deliverable, that you're proud of, what you waiting on? If you are listening to naysayers, why are they still in your life? If you're not actively promoting who you are at all times, you're not serious. So that's what I'm talking about for myself. The Voice Project is still very much in its infancy stage because I'm not actively growing it. Both Will and Jason are like, you need to be doing all these things. And because my life has been more organic and more function than form, I kind of just fall into a lot of the things that I benefit from because of the work and the willingness to do things without pay. Money literally just comes. So I would tell myself two other things. One, take it seriously. Like, don't take it so seriously that you succumb to anxiety, but take it seriously enough where you are doing the work that benefits your company.
Right.
And then two, stay engaged. This is the first year, 2020 to 2021, that I've actually cultivated relationships that would benefit both me and the opportunities that I want for the company that I'm building.
Right.
The truth is I've never gone backwards. I've never gone back to past relationships. Once I've finished, I don't go back. If Will and Courtney or Jason look over my life, I don't keep people in my life. I keep the relationship in terms of if they call, I know them and we can converse, but it's not a real relationship. Right. I have two people on the screen and my family, and that's it. I keep my circle extremely closed, and for that reason, I don't grow. I know that. So that's something that I'm working on.
I got one more, possibly a couple more.
No, they said one thing. They said, what would you tell? What would that part?
That's not a singular statement. What would you tell yourself?
Okay, so we're gonna move along.
Listen to Milky.
We're gonna move along.
Which is what I was saying. Thank you. High five.
Yes. We're gonna move along. Courtney, we know you have so much to tell us. I mean, we know. So we're gonna give you your moment to shine. Give me a second. Okay. Next question mark.
Okay, so let's talk about networking. And this is all three of you.
That's me right there. Networking.
If you're in my personal life, people will say that I'm a jerk, and I am. But when it comes to being in front of people and talking and handing out business cards, and people will say I'm literally two different people. And I realize there are people who are introverts, and I realize there are people who are afraid. But talk a little bit about how networking has helped each one of you. Because that's the real way that you grow your business.
Before you start, Courtney, sum it up in 4 sentences, please.
Sum up networking?
Yeah, in 4 sentences.
If you want to grow from where you are to where you want to be, it is impossible to do it by yourself. You have to form connections in order to grow your business. That was 3, so I'm more efficient than you.
Okay, fine. I'll let you talk just a bit more.
Okay.
Jeez. I'll give you a few more sentences. Damn.
I'm good. I mean, that in a nutshell, if you don't have an elevator speech, and we used to practice this with speech therapy, and I used to practice this with the Cookie Connoisseur, and we'll be practicing this for the real estate company my brothers and I are developing it is being able to, like Milky and Will, you all do when you get in front of people. Hey, this could be a new contact. I never know who I'm going to run into. I don't know what we'll be able to do, but you'd be surprised if you come off genuine and this is a business, this is who I am, this is what I can provide to you. You make it short, you make it sweet. Like you said, Milky, 4 sentences or less. They're going to ask you a follow-up question. Yeah. And that's where, okay, I got him. Now it's time to shine. Now it's time to sell my business. Now it's time to grow. And if you can't do that, you will have a business and it will be the business that you have right now. It will not be the business that you've envisioned becoming, because you cannot grow in any sector without having other people that you can call. One of the things I was going to say is that you are who you hang around. Mm-hmm. All of my friends are business owners. All of them. Just got a call from one just now, Philip Griffin. He and his wife own a Pilates studio here. He's a personal trainer, friend of mine. I have other friends. All of my friends are business owners. All we do is talk business. And so because of that, it is, hey, you might want to go talk to so-and-so. Hey, you might want to go talk to so-and-so. You know who I just met? This is who you need to get in contact with. And that's how your network continues to grow. It's not necessarily looking out for yourself, but it is, if you keep those people in your circle, then it is, hey, let me shoot this to somebody else, because it's not going to be a benefit to me, but it can be a benefit to somebody in my circle. And that's how that bounces back. And it's happened throughout the careers that I've had. So networking is everything. The word of mouth or digital marketing or word of mouth is everything.
I definitely agree with that. Any small business needs word of mouth to even get halfway where we're going. I mean, I tell people all the time, supporting by at least passing my card along means so much more to me. I mean, I love that you make a purchase. Yeah, you made a purchase, but letting the next person know, because it can't just stop at their purchase, right? It can't just stop at you being knowledgeable, because now the next person needs to know what's going on. So yeah, definitely, I agree with that. Corey, give me a little bit about networking.
You guys said it best. You can't grow without people, but here's the other thing. You can't be everywhere at the same time. The persons that you speak to carry you farther than you can ever go by yourself. The time that you spent developing that one opportunity can yield dividends, literally. So it's advantageous of every single person that wants anything to share your story in a way that makes people understand why you're worth the time they spent talking to you. When I coach students, the question I ask is, what makes you worthy of my time? Mm-hmm. If you can't answer that question, why are we talking? And I'm very hard on my students when I have that conversation, and they should get upset and they should get pissed off, because it should be offensive, because I tell them out the gate, you're worthy, period. So then why would we have this conversation? Because just because you think you are doesn't mean I have to. I don't have to think that you're worthy. Mm-hmm. And if I'm on an elevator and we have a conversation and you are lackluster, then I think the same about your company. So do you love your company enough to take every opportunity to share it?
Yeah.
In church, as Christians, we are supposed to carry the good news, and we are supposed to share it widely. If your company falls in line with the good news, you should be sharing it widely. This is why it's important to network. Mm-hmm. Because once you share it, like you said, Milky, you can't just stop at the purchase. You have to keep following it along. I have to be training my customers. They're going to create future customers. Mm-hmm. I need to develop my partnerships so they can develop future partnerships. That's the importance of networking, because you can't be everywhere at the same time. but your words can't.
Absolutely.
Let me add a little bit to that. I want to bounce a couple ideas, or I want to jump on what Courtney said about most of his friends being business owners. I read something the other day, and it literally said, if you're hanging around 5 bums, you're going to be the 6th. But if you're hanging around 5 millionaires, you'll also be the 6th. So the people that you're hanging around do a lot more to you, even just being around them. What you talk about permeates really what you're going to be and how you grow. The other part about is talking to people, not being afraid. It's like, and it's hard, trust me. It is sometimes when you first have to learn how to speak to people that you don't know, coming from either managerial or like you have to tell people what to do. Courtney talked about that a little bit earlier. It is really hard at first. But what's even harder is failure because you didn't do what you needed to do in order to talk to people.
Right.
In order to get your information out there. So I definitely agree with everything everybody said.